All right, let me show you the mystery of Flex Fitness weight stack. Probably the really cleanest looking stacks because they have nothing coming up through the top here, and they're very clean. But it's not super easy if you don't have the jack. So this isn't too bad. Let me show you how these work. So you have these two shaft collars. You have these two shaft collars on top. You have one on each rod, on each guide rod. And what that does, it prevents this rod going up. When you loosen this, you're going to be able to pull this rod up higher into this cavity. And that is going to allow you to be able to clear the rods on the bottom and swing them out. Now, without a light, this is kind of tough, but what you're gonna see, here's the rubber bumper on the bottom. Carefully, I'm gonna lift this up. If those straps failed, my fingers would be about amputated. But what you're gonna be seeing here, see what they've done? They have welded, in essence, what looks like a washer on the bottom of each guide rod. So that will not allow the guide rod to fall down into the hole like most machines do. That collar on top, or the screws or the bolts usually on the top of the guide rod, once you take those out, that allows the guide rod to fall down deeper into this tubing. And then you tilt the top of the stack, the guide rods outward, and pull the weights off the top of the rack. Well, with flex equipment, you can see that that rod will not drop into the tubing. So that means once you have that shaft collar loosened, you can pull that guide rod upward into this tube, and it will allow the bottom of the shaft to clear this tubing, and then you can swing this whole stack out and you'll be able to take that stack off. It will then sit out on the ground as a single stack. You would take, in this case, this would have to swing in toward the machine. On this particular machine, I would move this as high as it goes, the seat, but you can swing that stack out. The difficulty factor added in removing this weight stack is not offset by whatever aesthetic they have gained, meaning it's not worth it the way they designed it. I would rather have them put screws or bolts in the tops of these and put black caps on like the rest of this. Yeah, I don't know what the big deal is. You know, that's their fancy design. I think it just makes it harder to remove the stack, especially if you have a gym and there's maintenance on the machine. But that is the mystery solved. You can do this with two ratchet straps. You can see that even though I have these strapped up, so I'll go 1, 2, and then I'll go 1, 2, and bring these up. So you do it evenly as it comes up, and these shafts still turn. So you can still turn these shafts. You know that don't ever bend these, don't put too much pressure on these, but see, these are still turning, so there's no chance of bending them. But again, I'm not replacing the stacks at this moment or taking it off, but I will to move these machines. But you're going to take that shaft collar and loosen it. You'll be able to push that shaft right up, swing the bottom of the weight stack out, and then just drop it on the ground. Actually, what I'm going to do and what I would advise you to do is not put this weight stack on the ground. Put 1 or 2 2x4s or a 4x4 or 2 4x4s running perpendicular to the weight stack, and then drop the middle of the weight stack onto the boards. That's an awful lot of weight to be put right on the washers of those guide rods, as the guide rods would sit on the floor and they would balance on those two shafts. Do not do that. So the collars there, although the weight stack is resting on them, the washers, the washers themselves are actually resting on the tubing. So it gives them strength, there's support there. So don't just put the weight stack on the ground supported by the two guide rods. Put a piece of wood between the two guide rods running perpendicular to the weight stack as you take it off. Now, I've never put one of these back on. That means that I would have to hook up these straps, stack the whole weight stack up, and then put it back in. What I think I will do, I will make a jig. I'll take a 2x4 and I'll drill holes so that the shafts can go into the 2x4 as it's sitting on the ground. If not, there's going to be a lot of pressure on those guide rods. So I will stack the stack up on a 2x4 with these straps loose, and it'll be here. So these shafts will go, I'll drill a 2x4 will lay on its wide edge on the ground. The bottom of those shafts will go in the 2x4, just rest in them. I'll stack the stacks up. I'll have the straps on them, and then I'll start cranking the straps up. Get the stack high enough for me to clear that tube, the pipe, not the tube or the pipe, but the tubing. Then I'll swing the stack in once it's vertically high enough. I'll insert the tubes, let them drop, put these back in. Let me see. Yeah, I would have to pull it up high enough where those go into the tubing far enough for these shafts on the bottom to clear the tubing, then slide them back in the holes. A real bitch, but that is the mystery to the Flex Fitness weight stacks for anybody that can't figure out how to get these on and off. Just to finish up, let me just repeat that the aesthetics here is not worth the pain in the ass of the design to reach those aesthetics, in my opinion.